With the killing of Charlie Kirk and the students in Colorado that same day at school that got absolutely no attention, or even the young man who was lynched at Delta State University. I'm not overly interested in engaging in the left wing, right wing paradigm discussion because that is a waste of time. Simply put, both wings belong to the same bird. What I do want to discuss is the shift in our so called freedom structure and how it will quickly become a controlled system at every level. I only ask that you start listening closer to the narratives purposefully being sent out and the laws and legislation that will evolve out of this critical moment in history. Grief and outrage around the shooting of Charlie Kirk have ripped open the raw nerves of a polarized nation. And into the breach rushes a familiar script. Tragedy becomes the lever of a tightened, more insistent control dressed up as safety. Within hours of the killing, disinformation and foreign actors amplified false narratives, showing how quickly events like this are weaponized to fracture public trust and deepen division. Universities and institutions reacted with swift discipline, expulsions, investigations, public shaming, demonstrating how social norms and official penalties can be recalibrated almost overnight in the name of decency, leaving questions about whether free speech is being preserved or quietly narrowed. We also saw this last night with another late night TV host being fired because of commentary. We should not pretend these responses happen in a vacuum. Every high profile act of violence triggers an inevitable reflex: more surveillance. Schools, campuses, and public venues are offered a menu of new technologies: AI video analytics, gun detection systems, mass monitoring technologies, or of online chatter, all sold as prevention. The evidence that these measures actually stop determined attackers is razor thin, but the promise that they make us safer is powerful and powerfully tempting to lawmakers and vendors alike. When safety becomes an unquestioned priority, a matrix of cameras, listening tools, predictive algorithms, and platform monitoring programs expands, often with little public debate about trade offs or oversight. Once surveillance grows comfortable, so do the justifications for intruding into the deep, dark corners of the internet. Anyone labeled a potential threat, anyone who traffics in unpopular ideas, memes, or fringe theories can be swept into monitoring programs or predictive policing funnels under the banner of prevention. And it's not lost on me that some of these thoughts are going on now. And those memes or um, issues that make fun or belittle people of color or any marginalized group aren't happening. I know they are. I'm more concerned with how far we'll go in order to police people even in their private time. Social media platforms guided by engagement maximizing algorithms make the job easier. They separate us into echo chambers and flag dissent as dangerous or radicalized, amplifying outrage and making the path to restriction feel inevitable. The same systems that analyze posts for violent intent can be repurposed to police thought and penalize speech that departs from a rising code of acceptable opinion. There's also the predictable political theater, simultaneous demands to release everything and to withhold sensitive material, with institutions like the FBI dragged into public hearings over what is kept secret and why. Those fights become cover for power plays that determine which truths are permitted into public view and which remain behind locked doors. And that ambiguity is fertile ground for more control. Through it all, I hold to a simple moral test. The Gospel's call to love enemies and pursue truth with humility. Empathy for the sinner does not mean surrendering our insistence on truth and accountability. If you stand with Charlie Kirk, push those who have the power to do the right thing. Demand transparency and honor at least one of his pleas. Release the Epstein files for public scrutiny so the light of inquiry, not raw secrecy, governs our response. Otherwise, we risk exchanging the illusion of freedom for the reality of tightly managed consent, structured freedom that looks free until you try to dissent. So for those of you who cheer for what Charlie Kirk said, one of his last pleas over this summer was for the release of the Epstein files. With that, come quickly, Lord, perhaps today.